Hello and welcome to the Rose Festival Medallion Treasure Hunt podcast. Another long intro, but say it 3 times fast.
Well, this is a special episode. This is kind of a wrap up for
Mm-hmm.
the season, and we have some very special guests.
We do.
The champions, 2-time winners, Glorie, Gary, and Aaron Kaio. Yay!
Yeah.
Yay. Hey,
Yes.
hey.
So welcome.
Thanks.
So,
Thank you.
so how does it feel to be 2-time winners?
Awesome.
Surreal.
Surreal.
I had dreams of that, and maybe they'll come true someday. But
Maybe.
Yeah.
that was when I saw the post that you guys had found it. I was in shock. You feel like, I didn't win, but then you get over that really quickly, and we hurried over to where you guys were so we could celebrate with you, and it was
Yeah.
an amazing moment.
Well, we have a lot more experience with that feeling, the one where
Yes.
Oh.
than we do with the one winning. But you're both good.
Yeah, well, it's a special moment though, right? I remember when I had found it at Eagle Creek Overlook, I was in shock. So did you experience some shock on Sunday?
I was glad you found it. No, I was.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, I can't believe it's gone this long. I couldn't get out there that morning because
Oh,
my
okay.
schedule every year is different, and that was one where driving out to Eagle Creek that morning, and I knew someone was going to get that last clue that tells you exactly where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, were you shocked that this year, when Clue 14 rolled around, it didn't tell us exactly where to look?
A little bit. I thought it was a bit more vague than it had been in previous sun's.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely, we were at the park and there were some other people there and we all were just like, what? What do we do with this?
Yeah, it just doesn't give us GPS coordinates basically,
Right.
with a big arrow pointing right here.
Well,
Right.
was this sense
feel
of you had to decipher something, which still, versus right here, big arrow, which was kind of a new thing, I guess.
I'm okay with deciphering something as long as it tells you something that's more specific and definite.
Mm-hmm.
Jam, even if you got to jam, because
Mhm.
there were so many other things that Dundee was known for in the past.
Yes.
Right.
It's not like it's a place that was only known for one thing for a long time. It's been known for various things over time. And so it just, was it jute? Was it, we're talking about burlap rope? Was it
Mm-hmm.
jam? And if it was jam, what did they mean by jam? We thought that meant more of an action, not a place.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it was just a bit too. We like that in the early clues because that's what keeps it fun. You keep
Oh, of
option A,
course.
option B, option C as you narrow it down and get closer and closer. But we always feel like the last clue, if you're standing in the area where you think it is, but you just don't quite know where exactly to look or how far to look, I always hope that 14 will give you what you need,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was an interesting clue. We had it says Dundee, right? And we automatically go into Google and type in what is Dundee famous for, and it gives us what Dundee, Spain is famous for, right?
Right.
And so then we had to figure out that's what needs to be applied to Dundee, Oregon. Dundee is in the boundary of the medallion search, right? And so you had to
Right.
kind of marry the two, and it was just not apparent to a lot of people. A lot of people said, "Oh, let's go to Dundee."
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Even though it didn't match any of the other clues, but
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we had an
Yeah.
early
it was
clue that
confusing.
exactly, yeah, of course. And one of the early clues said, search north, right, of whatever line we were drawing in. That ended
Right.
up being the border between Clackamas County and Multnomah County. So search to the north.
Right.
It couldn't possibly be in Dundee, Oregon. But when you get a clue that's the clue 14, and it's supposed to point right to where you're supposed to go, I could understand those people that rushed out to Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Because usually about that time it hadn't been found. And everybody were, usually, especially like last year, right? Most people were at the right part,
Mm-hmm.
right?
For days.
And this year, there were so many people all over the place. It was really kind of amazing.
But also so very close. It was kind of odd. There was all the
Right.
little parks right around. Because, we learned about a whole lot of new parks this year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Waterhouse got you to a park, but it also got you to a trail system. So
Yes.
that was the
Right.
only thing that took us off of Waterhouse for any short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Was wondering if was Waterhouse meaning it could be off of one of these Waterhouse trails
Mhm.
of the system. And there's different parts of it that are named different pieces. So that was the only thing we were checking out, is because we couldn't find a definitive map of all the most updated trails and their names. You had to actually
Uh-huh.
go to the park and go, what's that sign say? And then we eliminated a bunch of parks. So like, oh, that's not Waterhouse, that's Greenway stuff, and that's a different one, or that's a Hudson's, what was it? Sorry, was the one up there something Run?
Something. Oh yeah.
Morgan's Run.
Morgan's
Yes.
Run. Yeah, there you
Pirate
go.
Park.
Right.
And so, once we started eliminating those things, we're like, it's in Waterhouse. We just kept saying that to ourselves. Every time we went somewhere
Right.
else, we're like, we got to go back. And we like seeing the ducks too. So
Yeah, there's that. They were so cute.
Yeah. Did you see the video that Roxanne posted that had like all the little ducks in a row waddling?
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, we were actually right next to her when she was taking that video, and it was adorable.
Yes, so cute.
It screamed Clue 1, right?
it
But
did.
apparently had
And
no
it didn't even mean
reference.
it to be that.
Yeah. Yeah, it apparently had no meaning, but still, yeah.
Ah, those ducks will haunt me forever.
Yeah, you were really into Huey, Dewey, and Louie, weren't you?
Yeah, and then I started throwing ducks out windows and no more ducks. But that being said, let's let you guys kind of talk about going through what your days look like and how you ended up at Waterhouse.
Okay, so we text immediately. First clue, we're like texting like, "What's up?" Oh, it's just nothing. It doesn't mean anything. The only thing that could mean something is ducks in a row and T. Just circle them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. And then we were talking about times we could meet, what our schedules look like for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So wasn't much happening. And then we just did that like 2 more times because we felt like the first 3 clues were really just kind of setting the scene. So it's just a couple check-in text messages like, so what you thinking? Okay, good, cool. Talk to you tomorrow. And then by clue 5 and 6, we were like texting and calling and we met up because we work so much better when we are physically in the same place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And, we don't live like super close to each other. And typically, how everybody's lives are busy and everything. Like Aaron, even though Aaron and I are good friends and we've been friends for a long time, typically the medallion hunt is the one time per year that we actually spend a good deal of time together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, she does stuff with her family on the weekends and visits lots of people, and I watch my mom's Alzheimer's and just have a lot of things that we're all responsible for. But these 2 weeks out of the year, both of our families know.
Don't bother us.
Yeah, it is medallion time.
Yeah, how did you meet?
So we met in grad school at Portland State. We were both in the communication department going to grad school, and Aaron was actually a year ahead of me.
Okay.
And she knew about the medallion hunt before I did. She kind of introduced me to it just because I think the article, talked a little bit about it. We shared a desk in an area. And so we'd be in our classes and teaching classes, and Erin would always have a crossword puzzle on her desk. And she was the only person that let me fill it in ink. So I'd come in and I'd do a couple, and then I'd go out and do my thing. And then she'd come in and fill in a couple and do her thing. And eventually we'd meet up at lunch. And one year she was like, hey, let's do this medallion thing. And I think that she probably could remember it a little better than I do. All I remember is we got the Thomas guide and we put that big, the map that comes in the back of the Thomas guide that has the whole overview area, and we taped it up on the wall in our office and kind of started from there, I think.
Yep.
Did you have red pins with like strings? So someone walks in.
Post-it notes was our preferred.
Yeah, post-it notes. Yeah.
Labeling.
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, so
now the red strings would have come in handy this year with some of the math things.
I know,
Good
right?
call.
Yeah, we need to remember that for next year, I think.
So we look even more crazy.
Yeah, well, whatever.
And that was the first year that kind of started that whole, and this happens to everybody. Oh man, I was looking at that area, days before. And it's like, if I just would have gotten out and looked, kind of thing. Because that was the year it was in Johnswood. And we had driven through, and we'd actually driven right up to that little patch of grass and trees and stuff that was hidden in. But it was pouring down rain. And we weren't even sure if that was the park yet,
And
so we're like,
it wasn't like a park like that kids would play at or whatever. So we were kind of thinking like, would they hide? I guess this is a good place, but at the same token, like, aren't they I felt like they were trying to get us out into places where people are. And there's just a bunch of blackberry bushes. And
Yeah, so that was what, 1998?
No,
earlier than that.
6.
Okay.
95 or 96. I can't remember.
Oh,
We've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you had been at it for a few years before you guys were successful. And were you in any other did you just work on the clues with just the two of you, or did you, because I know there's a few groups back then that had communication with each other, and they would go to the libraries and break down all the clues and whatnot, and some people would stand in front of the Oregonian waiting for the clue to come off, hot off the press. Were you in that group or anything, or?
I wasn't a
Uh,
part of the group. Glory, for a little bit, was kind of more of she was an observer. She was in the Yahoo group, but she wasn't like a technical member,
Mm-hmm.
right?
yeah. I think that that was way back when, bulletin boards were kind of new to everybody, at
Yeah.
least me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a tech savvy person. And I think that was the Treasure Hunt Central or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I joined the bulletin board group, but we were still kind of new at it. So mostly I think we spent a lot of time at the library, and that
Yeah.
was back when the main library had the resource lady would have, every year all the books that we could and maps and everything that could possibly be used on a little rolling cart, and you could go to the library and ask for the rolling cart, spend hours,
Oh, that's
just looking
cool.
at all the books and stuff there.
It's cool they would help you out like that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, it also helped that we were at PSU, so basically the downtown library was just up the
Yeah.
street a few
That helps
blocks.
a
And
lot.
so,
That's cool. So
yeah.
you're much more into like the physical maps than looking and trying to find these things digitally these days.
Well, I think this year we learned a little bit because, we have our old Thomas guide from 2002 that we've been using for a while. And we definitely found some flaws in that this year because it's missing a lot of parks. So,
Okay.
Right, but also online, it really depends on where you go. They don't all have all the parks either. So
Mm-hmm.
right.
nobody makes a good physical map like Thomas Guide did of the area anymore that's updated yearly with any changes. So everybody's kind of at the whim of like, how good was your internet search and what map did you pull up?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. I like having
Because
the
Yeah.
mix of both.
Yeah,
yeah,
because I don't know how anybody else does it, but for us, like Aaron was saying, the first 2, 3, 4 clues, we're just spending a lot of time talking on the phone and texting and researching and
Mm-hmm.
looking at maps and everything. But then, as the clues narrowed in your area down, you really have to get out and look.
Yes.
Right, you really have to get out and like look and observe, and that's really what makes a big difference for us.
Yeah, it's
I will
really
admit that the only place we looked prior to Beaverton, and I don't even think Gloria looked. The only place I looked was when we got the Clackamas to Roseway clue.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if that was going to be some kind of indication, like that you go 64 degrees and go down Sandy Boulevard. And,
Mm-hmm.
so I, like a few other people, drove by Rose City. Not that I don't already know that park like the back of my hand, because I'm born and raised in the city of Portland. And I went to Normandale School, which is just down from Normandale Park, which is just down from Rose City. Anyway, you get what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying. So I
Yeah.
checked a few places just to kind of get them in my mind again, like remind myself of
Yep.
where the play structures are and what, how many baseball fields they have, in case the next clue gave us something. But that was it. That's all I did on that side of town, because as soon as we got to the next one, we felt like it immediately sent us out west.
Right.
Interesting. So let's see here. Sea to Sea to Roseway. So we know that was clue 5. So you're
Right.
saying clue 6, you knew west. You're at that point, you're in
Well,
the park?
no. We weren't in the park. We were just west. We were just
Got it.
West
Yeah.
Hills,
And
Beaverton.
we totally interpreted clue 6 differently than the actual answer.
I think just about everybody did.
Yeah. We took clue 5 to heart, and we like actually levered it on clue 6.
Yeah, that's really smart. That's really smart. It makes a lot
So
of sense.
since Clackamas Town Center was on basically the baseline, right? We used that as the fulcrum, and then when he said 64 to the west, all right, we went 64 degrees to the west. Guess what lines up from that line? 26.
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful straight line. I love
It's
it.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I'm
And
glad
then-
it worked.
And then obviously you're traveling up the Sunset Highway at that point, and you getting off at exit 64, so that's your western boundary, right?
We were thinking that it could be a double meaning. Once we
Yeah.
figured out that exit 64 was right there in the the PCC Rock Creek area type thing. So yeah.
Yeah. We had heard similar things being chatted about during the hunt as well. We at this point we were at Ladd's Edition.
Mm-hmm.
I've searched there before in previous hunts.
Yeah, it seems like a real likely, I mean, maybe an unlikely spot because there's not a lot of hiding spots. But
Yeah.
we figured it could be
Right.
in a tree or something along one of the roads and maybe not in the park in the middle. And it's definitely not going to
Yeah.
be with the roses.
No.
But when we
Right.
saw clues like what we thought was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and how you look at the map and it looks like a dime, there's diamonds and everything, and we're like, oh, maybe this is something. But nope.
Wow. Weren't we all way off on the song?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, holy cow.
I bet you not even one person figured out that it would have been country roads.
Not
And
yet.
Yeah, not at least until, once we got to the area in the park, then it was like, oh, well, maybe that's Blue Ridge. And,
Mhm.
but it was hard to nail that down for sure.
Yeah, it just seemed really like a crazy thing to expect us to guess.
Right.
Well, and I think the explanation actually said it was going to be useful later or a hint
Right.
for later.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
everyone take 1 second here. It's a pause. You can cut this or leave it in.
Mhm.
Gloria, I was right. They weren't in order.
Yeah, that's true. You're correct.
Oh, that's actually a good point, though.
But I thought we were supposed to
Yeah.
throw out all the information from prior hunts like last year.
Not
Well,
all the
information from prior hunts, that doesn't mean that, because they could do it in either way.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
always an option
Yeah.
to have them in
Yeah.
order
Very
or
true.
to have them out of order. Both are options, regardless if you've ever done a treasure hunt before.
Mm-hmm.
So she thought ducks in a row. She took that pretty literally, saying that the clues were going to be sequential.
Yeah, I did.
And I said, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And that's
But
that's what's nice about having the two of our brains, because we run things by each other, and
Yeah.
I'll be like adamant about something and she'll be like, I don't know, I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm like, I'm going to be stubborn.
Yeah.
And I do the same
You
thing,
know.
and I go, no, we don't need to check that. And she'll go, no, we should check that.
I love that.
Keeping you in check. So, would you recommend people that are listening to this and that hunt alone to find a partner?
I would
Hey,
definitely do. Yeah.
It's up to them, because I obviously, if you want to have all the glory for yourself and know that you were the best at this hunt that time and get all the prize for yourself, yeah. But at the same time, I'd rather share it and have this whole experience with Glorie than just do it by myself.
Yeah, well, two brains are better than one, right?
Yeah.
In theory, that's
But,
what
you
I
know-
teach students.
In theory,
Right.
I don't know. You should ask Deidre that, because I try to override a lot of her things and I feel bad about it after the fact. And especially like she was wanting to go look at Waterhouse Park, clue like 8 or 9? Like that was
Before
one that
you.
was something on her list, and I said there's no way it's over there. And I kept dragging her away from it and saying, "No, let's go look at Kelly Point Park."
Yeah.
Wrong.
Wrong.
But I think that's an important part that Aaron is saying, for like us, we met way back when in the, early 90s, and, we enjoy each other's time and company. And so just participating in the hunt every year together is memories and experiences that we have that we wouldn't otherwise have.
Totally
You know what I mean?
agree.
That's some good stories,
I can
and
only
just
imagine.
great experiences. So
And your family's like, we will not have laundry for 2 weeks, and we will not eat, and
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
our kids were probably
It's
thinking.
changed a bit.
yeah.
It's changed a bit over time, because my kids were obviously little, as you can see by the
Oh yes.
picture we posted from 2000. That's my second kid, and he was 8 months old or whatever in a front pack for that one, and my daughter was 6 or 7 at the time. And then of course the next few hunts were even harder,
Right.
because then I had 4 kids.
Oh my goodness.
And,
Yeah, that would be
so it's
harder.
harder to find somebody to watch 4 children while you go look for a little piece of plastic in a park. But then it got easier as they got older. See, now mine are teenagers, so basically they could care less if I go, I'm not making dinner. If I get home in time, maybe I'll grab Taco Bell. Like, they don't care.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
They don't want to jump in and help you?
No, not this year.
That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I saw the picture of your son on Facebook earlier, and you said he's in boot camp now?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
He's 19, and he's in San Diego at boot camp for the Marines.
that is awesome.
Wow.
Well, congratulations, and tell him thanks for his service.
Yeah, and he would have been the one to come with me,
Okay.
but he's not
Yeah.
here.
Ah, of
I
course.
bet he was really proud of you, though.
I don't know if he's gotten the letter yet, because I just sent it the other day.
Oh,
'cause I
well,
wanted
yeah,
to-
duh, he's probably not even aware. Well,
So at some point he
I'm
will be,
sure
and I'll
he
find
will
out
be.
in 2 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. That'll be a nice surprise for him. I bet that'll be awesome.
I think so.
He'll be proud of his mom.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to be. I mean, this is a hard thing to do. There's literally thousands of people poring over these clues. On Facebook and other places, there's probably, 1,000, maybe 2,000 people that are part of these groups or whatever, but that's just the people part of the groups. There's so many more people that get the clues and try to work them out themselves and don't talk to anybody else. So
Right.
it is such a hard thing to do to find to find the medallion. Like, it's insanely hard, and you guys have done it twice. So you guys deserve a lot of props for that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's just so difficult,
It still feels kind of surreal a little bit. I mean, I just still remember seeing it and handing it up to Aaron and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe. I mean, we
Yep.
were just like in shock. I'm still a little bit in shock. Yeah.
The old
You guys heard my story, right?
which one?
Well, the first time we found it, we knew it was going to be along a certain line, like the edge of the park in the ivy. Like that's where the clues were leading us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're standing at the front of the park, and Gloria's on the left, so she's the closest to the ivy. So she starts there at that end, and I go to the far end with my kid on a front pack and my golf club, and we're searching ivy. And of course, she finds it within like 8 feet or whatever. Right? So yay, we found it. It's a team effort. So we do the same thing again with the fence.
Oh my God.
Right? The end we were closest to, Glory was on the right of me, so that meant she was closest to it. So she started at the close end. I went to the far end, and of course, it's closer to her end. Twice.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna totally like next year be like, okay, wait, which side do you want to start on?
Maybe you should have just said, "Oh, I didn't find it. Can you double check?" And let her go behind you and find it
But I was
next
just
time.
like so much in shock. As soon as I saw it, I
Oh.
was like, I can't believe it.
Oh, I know the feeling.
That's very sweet of you to say, but I would have known she was.
Yeah,
I would have known.
Yeah.
she would have seen it on my face immediately.
I would have known. She's the best looker. So if Gloria has checked a place, you're pretty darn sure it's been checked.
Well, it seems to be working for you, that method.
Oh,
So you
Might as
might
well
just roll with it.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe play rock paper scissors next time when you're deciding which end to start on, though.
That's
That's true, yes.
That's how Deidre and
Okay,
I
you
make.
first. No, you first. No, you first.
But then we do that, and someone else comes up behind us and finds
Exactly.
it. So
That's
no.
what
Yeah,
I'm
no.
thinking.
Yeah, Deidre and I make all of our.
All
Tough.
major decisions come via rock, paper,
Yeah.
scissors. We're really
Yeah.
smart like that.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Kind
So
of.
then, what's the next clue? We have a mix up at Latifah's place.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually got together. That was our first time getting together in person.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually got together and spent some time at the kitchen table mixing all the letters up and figuring it out.
Now, did you mix up properly with Latifah's place, like including the or did you
We
just start the other way?
We did many of them. So when you
Yeah.
did Latifah's, like what the things you came up with, nothing was making a lot of sense. And then I told her, I said, a mix up at Latifah. I go, let's start right after the word that says mix up. Like this is the direction.
Mm-hmm.
Starts here. So take the first 8 and it solves. So once I took the first 8 and realized it could spell, the name of a people's/park,
Mm-hmm.
we were like, okay, well, that's it. That's too weird to not be the right answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And as soon as I saw the word at Pilati, I was like, I know that. I know that. That's the word.
That's the word.
And I knew we were out that way because the at Pilati actually have a meeting tree that is out near past 185th,
Okay.
right on the side of the highway.
2 exits past it on or Cornelius Pass, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. So I just
Or
quickly.
Helvetia.
Okay.
Yeah. They have a meeting tree there, and I know about that because of geocaching. And so I was like, oh, let me go find the page on that and figure out the history and find them out. So and that's kind of how we went from there.
So you didn't.
So if you only went with at Filati Park, that puts you below our established baseline.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that's not it, but we weren't taking it that specific that he'd give us a park that soon. So we were taking it more of a maybe it's narrowing it to Washington County or to Walton Valley.
Where
or
the people
something like
lived, right?
Yeah.
In case you didn't get the special clue in the 1 through 6.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that was a pretty crazy clue, but we're not
I
quite
liked
there
it.
yet. That's clue number 9 that tells
Yeah,
you to go
My
back.
bad.
we got that one. We got that one pretty fast.
See?
So
That's good.
Gloria didn't include in her kind of overview of our process the fact that I spent a good half an hour trying to figure out if something had happened at one of Queen Latifah's houses in Beverly Hills and Atlanta to see if something had to do that would lead us to what we needed to know. Something happened. There was a mix-up at Latifah's place.
Some important piece of artwork got delivered to her house in Atlanta when it was supposed to go to Beverly Hills, right?
Something. I thought,
Yeah.
I said, though she was not involved. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, it has something to do with like the groundskeepers or there was someone broke in and stole something.
Yeah. Well, so you are very well versed.
Yeah, very
in
thorough.
Latifah's place
Well,
now.
Yeah.
and thorough
I
in the
have now
study.
learned that she's been carjacked twice.
Oh, wow.
Wow, all
Yeah,
kinds
that's
of
what I found out
tidbits.
by doing that research.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for her. But
Yeah.
that's
Some of the
cool.
ones like this one, we find out all kinds of things before we come along the right answer. So
Well, that's process of elimination, right? That's what you got to do. That's what all good treasure hunters would do.
Yeah, yeah.
Deidre tells me all the time that I need to look at all the options before I just pick whatever one I think, the thing that comes to mind first. And I think, oh man, it's got to be that. She says, no, calm down, step back, look at this and this and this. And I go, oh, I guess it's that one.
Quit wishing it was that and making your theories fit.
It happens all the time.
Yep.
Well, we had lots of answers for clue 8, amazingly.
We did too.
Like a bazillion answers.
Isn't that crazy? Like my sister
we actually had a trillion, billion, million.
Oh man,
I hear you.
That was good.
My sister Ashley is new to the hunt this year, and she gave me an awesome interpretation for the number clue. If you look at it, everything before the 13, it basically says 8675309. Like the 9 is not there.
Yeah, no kidding.
The 9 is not there, but if you flip the E backwards, it looks like a 9.
Yeah.
So Deidre, I told her about it, and she's like, "Oh, well, let me look that up." And she looks up the LP record from Tommy Two Tone, which if you look above this, guess what? Red and green make what color?
What are you talking?
Well,
I'm talking
about the whole clue.
colors.
Yeah, you get 2 colors if you add green and red, and then the blue and yellow. So that's what, two
Right,
tones.
right.
Tommy Two Tone. And
yeah.
yeah, if you look at the record, it says Columbia on the top, and so we're thinking, wow, so is that the northern border, Columbia River, or could it be Columbia Boulevard? Or there was a lot of options there.
Yep.
But
that's far out, man.
But all of them were wrong.
It was very far out, very far wrong.
So I put that number in to the search engine just to see what would come up. I don't know if you realize this. It came up, it was like the exact exchange rate to some denomination in Africa from 15 pounds.
Oh wow.
I can't remember the denomination, but if you wanted to exchange 15 British pounds for 5 point whatever of something, and then
you got all kinds of good trivia for Jeopardy. I like it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, that can't be the answer because this is weird.
But it's exact, right?
It was the exact number minus the E13 part, the first part.
Yeah.
It's funny how you can find answers that make complete sense that are just not even part of anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we were still like reeling from the whole pivoting our lever. And so we were wondering, well, is this another degree?
Oh, yeah.
Like question? Are we, because, he said history, math, geography. And
right.
So like I took that number, the big large number. My wife knew, she's an engineer, and she knew right away. She's like, oh, E13, that means you move the decimal point right 13 places. I was like, okay, well, that's like a really big number.
Right? Like, what do I do with that?
Yeah. And so like I converted it to light years, which is 8.6. And the only star, and then you're out in space, right?
Right.
I mean, the big number. I'm like, well, the only star that's 8.6 light years away is Sirius. And then I did a little more research about Sirius, and Sirius is the blazing star in the Freemason
man.
thing. And the blazing star is the 33rd degree in the Freemason levels of things. So I'm like,
man.
well, are we supposed to do something with 33 degrees?
Oh, I went down that rabbit hole so deep. Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to Mary for a while, for a good number of days during the hunt, and she had a bunch of Mason connections too. So it was really funny that you bring that up.
Down to a T if you're square.
Yep.
All
On
the
the square.
things.
On the square. And did you know that that's like a code for if the Freemason asks another Freemason, they ask him, are you on the square? And that's code for, are you a Freemason like myself?
Right? I was
Right.
like, are we all going to start shaking hands and asking this question now?
Yeah.
Like, I feel
We were
like it's a
looking up-
secret code.
We were looking up lodges to see where they all were. There is like a
Yeah.
one or two out that way too. So we're like, oh, good, we're still in the same area.
Yeah. But then the next clue was like, oh yeah, no.
I'm looking at the answers right now for number 8, and it says, okay, 50 trillion 763 billion 800 million square millimeters is what the answer was, and that's just like that's a number that's hard to comprehend.
Yep.
And it equals 19.6
6
square miles for the size of the city of Beaverton. So that's I saw people did get that, and props to them. That was pretty impressive.
And you'd have to use a computer to do that because most people's calculators, whether it's on your phone or an actual real calculator, wouldn't wouldn't hold that many digits.
Yeah, it would give you like an R,
Yeah.
you know, like these
You'd have
weird.
to
Or
have
an
one of those
E.
really fancy ones where you could put in to the to whatever, like you could put in however many more
Mm-hmm.
zeros you want.
Oh man.
Yeah. And we had that event. We had it in our, we've got, several pages here of all kinds of potential answers. But yeah.
Lots of math.
Yeah, lots of math. That's a lot of M&Ms, if you ask me.
It is. So, it was funny. We were at Lads Edition during this point because in our minds, or at least in my mind, I was really trying to push this on Deidre, but Lads Edition basically has the most unique geography out of any neighborhood in Portland.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
it's called Lads Edition. That's math. So we got geography, math, and it's like on the National Historic Registry for neighborhoods or whatever. So we got all those boxes checked. And when it's talking about ET, well, one of the roads that runs right through Lads Edition, right, diagonal, just right up the middle, is called Elliott Street, and Elliott is the little boy in the movie ET.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it was insane. Like, or I was like, it has to be here. It has to be here. And then we're scouting, and we see this boy walking up the street with a red sweatshirt on.
Like a red hoodie.
Yeah, like
It's a
like,
sign.
Yeah, I was like, no way. And
Wow.
I'm like, I was telling Deidre, this is a hunt like unlike any other, right? I bet you that kid has the medallion in his pocket and it's on the move, and he's walking up and down.
serious.
I was gonna
man.
go
Could
talk
you
to this
imagine?
kid,
Holy, yeah.
Oh my
but
gosh.
so
You
that
see
just shows
what
you
I
how
have to reel in?
yeah, just a little bit of crazy over here, but I had
what I
fun
deal
with it.
with?
I had fun with it.
He was literally gonna run up to that kid. I was like, "You wait and see if he runs back down the street. This isn't someone hired him on Craigslist to walk up and down the street with the medallion." Okay.
Right.
Oh,
But
I've always wondered if some year they could actually put it on something that moves,
right.
because up in Astoria, they have that train that goes between all the little areas in Astoria, and it stays, it's pretty constant. But I'm a big avid geocacher, and there's a geocache on that train.
What?
So you could hide a medallion on something like that where it stays on the same route, right?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I don't know.
Oh.
I hear you on that one.
that sounds cool. I mean,
don't encourage him.
that just sounds insane, though, doesn't it? I mean, for something that so many people will go look for, I don't know. But hey, we're not the clue writers. Who knows what they're
Yeah.
capable of?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but when the next clue came out and it was deciphered, we knew to leave Lads Edition. When
Yeah.
it said,
Yeah.
do you want to win the prize, be the victor at the end? The first 6 clues comprise another hint, my friend. How long did it take you to come up with the correct response?
I think we had it that same day.
Were we sitting? Was that when? Did you get that at McDonald's?
That was when we were at McDonald's. Yeah.
So your
So
lucky
we met
spot is McDonald's. Got it.
Well, we just had a place that was kind of. She was downtown working, and I was out. I had my mom with me, and I was out and about. So
And my mom was
my dad was
hungry.
in the hospital, and
Yeah.
I was coming from the hospital, and Gloria was coming from work. We were just trying to find somewhere with Wi-Fi where we could sit down.
Yup.
Yeah, it makes sense. We go to IHOP all the time when we want to brainstorm treasure hunt stuff because Deidre had a
Oh,
big
yeah.
breakthrough on a treasure hunt that we had won like a second place prize in it last year. It's like an international thing, but Deidre had her breakthrough there, so we always go back to IHOP.
Nice.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work
It's
this year.
broken.
Well, and you want to know what's funny is when I was posting my story on the Facebook page, and I posted the picture of where you just see my Thomas guide and my notes and my glasses and my pen. And I was looking at it before I posted it, and I was like, oh my gosh, my pen is completely lined up and right next to Waterhouse Park.
We were pointing
Wow.
to it. Yeah, and that was before the Waterhouse clue.
That was before the Waterhouse clue. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
crazy.
That's bananas.
Yeah, subconsciously
Yeah.
you were able to pinpoint the spot without the clue to get there.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we actually went to the Willamette Stone a couple times to just check it out. I'd never been there myself, and
Oh, nice.
this
Yeah. That's
this
pretty
clue
cool.
basically told us, the Willamette Stone would be a part of the hunt, or at least the lines that come off of it. So I don't know, what did we do with that information? Because we ended up looking where because
Well,
of it.
I had wanted to go partly because townships and ranges are a big part of my job in the real estate world. I'm pretty familiar with them, but we're standing there and I look down and I'm reading the plaque and it says Victor right on it. And I have a freak out
Wow.
moment like, whoa, this is definitely where we're supposed to be. And I was like, I don't know where we're supposed to go from here, but it's a thing. And
Right.
by the way, it wasn't in the solution at all. I was highly disappointed.
Well, and we wondered about Victor too, because again, we're still on our, remember we levered
Oh, yeah.
our, right? And so I even have in my notes, should we make an arrow with the V?
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know if that mattered or not,
Yeah,
but
no, it's a good point.
Well,
Well,
last year we had an arrow clue, right?
yeah.
We weren't here last year to participate, so we're not, we don't
We're
remember it as
learning.
well as you guys do. But yeah, I hear that there was an arrow clue, and who else suggested an arrow clue? Wasn't that Neil? Oh yeah, he had said that one of the clues, or it said a ducks in a row, and if you put a row together, it's arrow.
Oh, yeah,
So
that makes sense.
yeah, that was Neil thinking fourth dimensionally.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, Gloria didn't actually figure out that the baseline that we were looking for was the baseline of was the meridian baseline
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
until the explanation clue 15.
got it.
Yeah.
And she had that epiphany after she went home for lunch. Was still out in the park, and then we realized, well, then because we had multiple interpretations for quote unquote D,
Mm-hmm.
shaped like a D,
Right.
something that starts with a D, or D 500 in Roman numerals. Well, once the explanation clue came out, ding, 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 ding,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
meridians
Yep.
and
it makes so much sense
counting
now.
like Brutus's way, and it
Mm-hmm.
was done. So we had then officially narrowed it down and said it. We've kind of always felt it was in that part of the park. We'd look there every day since we got
Yeah.
to the waterhouse. But
We've
now
been
that
there.
confirmed, it was below 500 feet within that line,
Uh-huh.
which then cut out the play area with the ducks because that was too
Okay.
far north.
Yep.
So that made us focus on the little path that goes out to Stonegate and that little bit of area right there by the bridge and a little bit of the path that heads to the pond, but not too far.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of trees in there that you could hang it. I was thinking it was gonna be hanging from a branch on one of
Me
those
too. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
little Douglas firs or something, but I checked them all.
Nope.
Yeah,
Yep.
we looked up a lot this year as well, in case the medallion
Yeah, we
wasn't
did
hidden on the
too.
ground.
Yeah.
We
When he
Well,
thought,
said
because
look
we
and
thought
see,
flip your lid, right? Don't flip your lid, meaning you could have to, don't lose your hat when you look up, or, we
Mm.
yeah,
didn't know, right?
which again meant nothing, but
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Not nothing. We got it.
isn't it crazy that Waterhouse Park is shaped like a T, but like you
Yes.
look at it on Google Maps or any map, and it's shaped like a T with the area of the creek running through the middle, and it wasn't part of the clue apparently, huh?
well, it depends on what part you're talking about, because Waterhouse is technically the
Yeah,
one that goes up and down the middle,
Mm-hmm.
that's
and then the
true.
one that goes east, where the ducks are, is Waterhouse and the Rose Garden, because the one to the left is technically Stonegate.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
right. You have like Waterhouse Linear Park
Yeah, the whole big
and
But
strip.
those are
yeah.
all straight up and down, except the little part that goes off to the right by the ducks.
Oh
So I
Yeah.
man.
guess you're saying like a really like a weird T if you turn it on its side and it's like
Yeah,
a really
Yeah.
long crossbar.
But if you just look at the green on the map, it does look like a T.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what we
one eye.
that's basically what I was focusing on after we had come out there as well, and I, w- I, I wasn't ready to buy the 5.07 clue as being square millimeters. I had drawn a line from the Willamette Stone to the park, and I had identified a piece that is on the west side of that you look at the map and it looks green, the T,
Mm-hmm.
and
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I can line that up from the Willamette Stone 5.07, yada whatever other numbers
Miles.
distance, yeah, miles away. And
Wow.
so I thought we searched over there for hours.
Oh yeah. It seemed too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, when we pivot that line to the south to line up with where you found it, it's not quite 5.07, so it wasn't going to work. But it was just curious that we got a clue for Waterhouse, and then we got a clue, or then the prior clue had 5.07. We could make something that was 5.707 miles line up with that spot. It's pretty compelling, but we didn't search good enough. Like
Didn't
many
search
others,
the jam.
Yeah.
we did not search a jam.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and my search when I first went there focused on like that it might be in between the fencing and the rocks, not
Mm.
necessarily right below it like it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. And mine too, initially too.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
So
where you guys found it, I had walked by, like a whole bunch of other people just multiple times. We had walked
Mhm.
through that area, and
right.
I stood probably right next to where you found it and was talking to my friends, Sean and Kristen. They brought their kids, and we were just chatting right there, right next
Yep.
to it, and it was just laughing at us, but it's all good, right?
I know. It'd be so funny if somehow they could put a camera on it, or you know
I
what I mean? Like
know.
to see all the people, all of it, how many of us, how many people stood at that spot and looked over into the water. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yes.
crazy.
Well, I blame my friends. They
Oh,
they,
whatever.
they helped us. They actually helped me a lot when I found it that year, but they
Hmm.
were distracting me that year. I didn't even look like
Oh, whatever.
because of them. No, I'm just kidding.
You big
No,
baby.
no, we love them. Just messing around. But I had other opportunities when I walked across it by myself. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, what did you think about the captain clue?
Yeah, we didn't get it.
Yeah, we never got that one.
I don't
You were
think
willing
anybody
to
Never
did,
just
right?
throw
had a
that
good
out.
interpretation.
I wonder if anybody that's not on Facebook or anything got that clue because I did not see one little thing about these land claims.
I remember there was somebody in a thread somewhere that on the Facebook page that did mention the land claims. I don't remember who it was,
Mm-hmm.
but I do remember somewhere in the comments somewhere somebody mentioning the land claims.
They might have
Okay.
found one of them. I don't think they had all three figured out.
Right,
Hmm.
but I think they had found one.
Well, that's
So
interesting.
Yeah.
I think Captain Jack being,
John.
so related with Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff really
Yeah.
threw us all.
Well, yeah,
Well,
especially with those parks.
yeah, that park right exactly to the north of
Yeah.
where you're already searching. Yeah.
Well,
It,
there's so many Captain Jacks. I mean, there was the Captain Jack that was the Indian, and that
Mm-hmm.
was his name. There was the Captain Jack that was John Crawford, the
Mm-hmm.
Wild West
Wallace
writer poet,
Crawford.
right? And I mean, there's Captain Jack, Sparrow. I mean, there was like so many ways that you could go with that.
yep. We saw a lot of them too.
Yeah.
And we yeah, that was a real tough one. And we had, we know that a nickname for John is Jack. With President Kennedy was called Jack a
Yeah.
lot, right? So,
Yeah.
we it was going through our mind, but it didn't really help, trying to figure that out.
Definitely didn't help.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't help when you then start putting in John something.
Yeah.
John / Captain Jack. You come up with just as many options.
Yeah, and then Quinn and King, it just sounded like it was trying to get us to finish it out with an ace.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
find some kind of
Yeah,
card
sounds almost like a
meaning.
good deal. So I mean, I'm assuming that part still meant, it's close to a straight. So you're
Agreed.
supposed to do some kind of straight line, but that's all we got from that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a good deal because they got their land for free. Apparently, that's part of the clue, right? Is the Land Donation Act or
Yeah.
Donation
Yeah.
Land Act? Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy
I
stuff.
think that was a super tough one.
Yeah,
Agreed.
he must.
It's a,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's reminiscent of the clue where he took you away from the park to a place where the two creeks then led into the river that ran through the park when it was at Malala.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Like an adjacent leading into clue. So it was very reminiscent of that. It's just that we didn't figure it out. The rivers
Mm-hmm.
were easier. The creeks were easier.
yeah. This year,
Yeah.
a lot of these clues, when we were reading them, we would go back. We thought that they were tied together. Half of Clue 10 would lead to the first half of Clue 11 or something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's how we were trying to interpret a lot of them because it seemed like they flowed into each other pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's what we thought with number 6,
Mm-hmm.
basing it off of.
Yeah,
Like
for
the
sure.
irony was there was that hint that put you out in that area on the T1, R1 land claim area or range. But if you also just, used math stuff, 64 to the west, okay, 64 degrees from this line you just gave us
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are the
creates a
chances?
vector.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Oh,
park is in that vector. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah, I don't know. We can make all sorts of things work with the clues, but
Right.
it's just getting that whatever the clue writer had intended. That's the hard part.
Well, you guys have written clues before too. It's makes so much more sense when you know what you're going towards when you
yes.
put the clue out. Like I give hints in class sometimes when we're doing like a study session for a pretest for a quiz or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to spend 20 minutes going answers and someone's struggling, so I try to give them a hint. It's obvious to me,
Mm-hmm.
but not always obvious to them.
Yeah.
They're missing something.
Yeah, like how is that supposed to get me there?
Yeah, it's quite hard to, we don't write the clues for this one, just saying. But the person that does, like you were saying, we had written a treasure hunt that was based around the Goonies, and it was really hard to try to come up with things that wouldn't be just found on Google instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So it takes a lot of work to try to trick people, and without, you don't want to be too tricky because you don't want people to say that wasn't fair at the end. And it's a fine line. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think writing clues would be super tough, right? Because you ultimately you don't really know if you've written a clue that's hard or easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it'd be tough. You
it-
got to hand it to them for
Yeah, a lot of work
it's
goes into it. A lot.
yeah.
And they got to be super knowledgeable of the area. They got to be super knowledgeable of the history. It's really a lot of work, I bet. It was for us when we did the Goonie thing, and that was not that, we only wrote, 8 clues total.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
um,
And you got to think that whoever, the clue writer, whoever,
mhm.
you got to think that they know where it's going to be next year and are already working on all that work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a long process to, they want to be able to write the clues that it just takes a long time for them to really come to what they're finally going to look like. And
Right.
it's like this year he used a bonus clue, or he or she used a bonus clue in that tied the first 6 together. That hasn't been done before, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
that's a cool outside the box way of thinking to get a big clue like that to everybody.
It's a good confirmer. That's what I like seeing is once you get there, you've got a confirmer. Okay, I'm in the right
This
place.
means that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And
Well,
it was, this is the first year that it got extended, right? And wasn't found,
Yeah.
within the normal clue. So you got to hand it to them, right? Because Oregonian made the decision like noon the day before
Mm-hmm.
that they
Well,
were going to extend it. So you
Something
got
like
to,
yeah.
they didn't have very long to write the clue,
we had
Mm-mm.
bonus clues before, but
but never beyond the deadline.
right, but that's what I'm saying. The deadline used to be different.
Yeah,
Usually
that's
the
true.
last clue was like a Friday or a Saturday, and you had till Monday to turn it in.
Mm.
Yeah,
oh, really?
yeah.
Okay.
So we got when we got bonus clues that year, it was I think we had like a Saturday afternoon bonus clue and a Sunday bonus clue, and then somebody found wasn't that Greenway? I feel like that was Greenway.
I'll have to find out.
I think wasn't there a bonus clue last year? Or was it year before that there was a bonus clue?
There wasn't one last year because it got found before the last clue, and the
Not-
year before that wasn't that you, Dustin?
No, that was in Fort Vancouver, and there was a bonus
Oh,
clue.
Fort Vancouver.
That's the
Yeah,
one that
there was
haunts us.
That was a middle of the day clue.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that one, nobody was going to look at the right thing that they can tell. Maybe they had somebody stationed there waiting for people to come and look.
Okay,
Oh,
You know,
you
the
have to hear our story about
the,
that.
the calligraphy thing, right? Yeah.
yeah, to go downtown.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
story?
So we kept thinking the entire time this time that we kept seeing this same person or this same van. Remember that, Aaron?
Yes.
Yeah. There was
I
like
kinda
this
wanna go-
guy that was like looking but not looking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I now. Yeah, I still don't know.
Yeah,
He
we're not
showed
sure.
up later.
Was
But-
that
but-
this year or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of want to go back to the park now just to see if the van that I saw the last few days of hunting lives there. Like if it's just someone who lives there, and I was just paranoid because it seemed like it moved every time we were back.
Was there
Yeah.
somebody sitting in it the whole time?
No,
No.
Okay. Yeah, just.
but it was just like it was just weird because it wasn't parked in front of someone's house.
That is
You see what I'm
weird.
saying? It was parked right there by the Rose Garden on a Fox. What was that thing called? The street, the little U-shaped street
Oh.
I
in
forget.
the
Yeah.
duck pond and the Rose Garden,
Mm-hmm.
Foxborough.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And so like it was parked in the park area, like not in front of someone's house or in someone's driveway, like
Yeah.
they lived there. It was always in those.
Huh.
So I don't know, maybe it's just someone who likes to walk the park a lot, but I kind of feel like I kept getting this vibe.
Yeah, and they were like every time we came back, it would be in a different spot. Like we'd go to lunch or whatever, and we'd come back and it would be parked in a
On the
different
other side.
spot on the other side of the street, facing the wrong way. And Aaron and I are like, oh, people in the neighborhood, they don't ever do that. That's never usually people that live there like park their cars, the correct
Facing the
way
right
or whatever.
direction.
Yeah. So
Watch, it's another hunter, and they're like, "Hey, that's my van."
Right, I know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
It
hope.
totally could be. But I'm just saying, I'm starting to get paranoid.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, if that was you, let us know. That'd be funny.
That
Yeah.
would be really funny.
Then we had the Lord of the Rings clue, right?
Right.
Did you guys figure that out, or was that like a day 15 figure out thing?
That was one of our ones that where we had like it could be this answer or this answer or this answer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
we kept it in mind as we hunted, and so
But it didn't derail you to a different location. So that's
it did
interesting.
not.
No, we're thinking the whole time it was kind of one of those, and just because of the nature of the clue, like the RD Junior, like the letters and whatever, we kept thinking it's telling you to be somewhere in the park where you see these numbers or letters.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that part right. We just know specifically it meant Tower 2 or two towers, until you work through all the different ways that you can say that backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then Saturday night
Mm-hmm.
and especially Sunday morning, Saturday night and Sunday morning on my drive to the park Sunday morning, I was just kept thinking, okay, well, I looked through my notebook. Okay, we got the area. We're at Waterhouse. Okay, so there could be near the tower with the 2 on it, and it definitely needs to be within this 500 feet of the line, and it really definitely kept us. We knew we wanted to be right there at that little intersection where we could see all of that and be right there when the clue came out.
So
Yeah.
is that where you were on clue 14? Right? Where it was
Uh,
actually found on the
The
last
Dundee. We
Yeah.
were when the
No.
Dundee clue came out. We were over by the play structures on a picnic table because we
Okay.
thought maybe it might be somewhere along the bridge or the wall. Even though we'd checked it already, we just
Mhm.
thought maybe they would give us something that would say,
Yeah, go to
10
the
feet back or
yeah.
from this tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but first go backwards threw me off. And I know it threw other people off. People were like, "Oh, do we go backwards through the clues now?" And not it wasn't
Oh,
necessarily just
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
clue. A lot of treasure hunters like to make things mean a lot more than they do, and so
yeah.
it's a good reminder to say, "Hey, this clue might just be contained into itself."
Right. Well, and
Right.
like everybody wanted to read into ignoramus, and he comes out with going, it just rhymed really well with famous.
Yeah,
That made me laugh.
Yeah, that's true.
that's pretty funny.
I was sure it was under a traffic cone and D was for dunce. I checked
Yeah.
every traffic cone, by the way.
Well, and even for ours, part, we were, same as everybody else too, of the just stuck on the T and how, Waterhouse looked a little bit like a T, and we thought,
Mhm.
well, maybe we need to go backwards, meaning when you make a T, you make the cross at the top
Okay.
and then you go down, right? So maybe we need to go. So maybe that's a directional thing. Maybe we went all over the place. We have so many potential answers there.
Yeah, we all do, and they're fun to come
Yeah.
up with.
Well, and that's the thing too, like with everybody, once you kind of get to the park, you still kind of keep all of those things in your head. Or
Yep.
even as you're starting to narrow the things down, all the past clues that you don't have 100% solid on, you keep those things in your head, and those help guide all the rest of the clues.
Yeah, here I'll make this admission. The first year it came back, we weren't at the Esplanade yet. We were
No.
in lower southeast Portland, but we hadn't figured out it was going to be on the Esplanade. So other people are already down there looking. We hadn't gone down there yet.
Oh.
So you just never know how you're going to put them all together. Even if you're someone who's been doing it for a long time, you could totally be in the wrong place. I'd say we're in the wrong park 3 times out of the past 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good track
Because
record.
Yeah, it is.
And the McMinnville year, we were way off.
right. So McMinnville, Esplanade. Now I can't
Yeah.
remember.
And what's funny about the Esplanade one is that we had the answer for the clue about the bridge, because I was like, oh, that's the
I know.
guy from Milwaukee.
Right.
And we just didn't look close enough had we paid much attention to look at our Thomas guide, or, again, we're using our Thomas guide still,
Mhm.
to see that there was just that little sliver of land still right
Yeah.
between the river and the road, and we just hadn't got to the Esplanade yet within our heads.
Like I said, we were really close by, but we hadn't been
Yeah.
right.
Well, it just takes something just needs to click, and
Yeah.
you would get there. It probably would have been the following clue, right?
It's also a
So-
timing thing. I remember that year I hadn't been able to go out and search for like 3 days up to the point when it was found. Like I had zero time to go. It told my schedule being a full-time college professor.
Yeah.
I never know what it's going to look like at the end of May and June because it's different every year. And Gloria has a full-time job, and you'd think she could take time off, but at the same time, she doesn't know she had a lot of meetings this time.
That was the year that we just didn't have enough time to get together. And for us, really, the difference is getting together in person and going and seeing all the different parks and the areas and things.
So that would be the thing that the 3 times we were in the wrong place had in common. Those were years we hadn't physically searched together, or we searched opposite. She went out and did something and reported back to me. I went out and did something and reported back to her. It's not the same as doing it together.
Yeah, we really, for us, it's really, we work well together. We balance each other out in all the right places.
Well, we can definitely tell that you work well together.
I mean, hello, champions again.
2-time winners, right? That doesn't happen to all the teams. Like it hasn't happened yet until this year. So,
I think it helps we're not married.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I try to influence a lot of the things that Deidre spits out, and I'm just like, I think it's this, and I should really listen to her more.
You say that a lot.
Well, we just don't have extra relationship baggage that we bring into it.
Yeah.
Well,
so
hey,
that's helpful.
Yeah, I hear you.
I understand wholeheartedly. That's okay. I'm stubborn, strong-willed, so I usually get my way.
Yeah, when we had heard,
there's a lot of other couples out there that are teams. I'm sure that could be an interesting podcast on its own.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have one of these days. Yeah. So, just before we leave this clue, I wanted to just mention Deidre had pointed out to me when we were walking around Waterhouse Park that tower had a big number 2 on it, and like when the 2 towers thing was suggested, that's something we hadn't thought of. We had been trying to figure out what RT and JR and all that had meant, but I should have put it together. Like, dude, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Like, it's my favorite set of movies
ridiculously
ever.
Yeah.
Like
I'm old enough to have listened to The Hobbit on the radio as a kid.
Oh wow, that must have been pretty sweet.
That's hardcore.
The thing in like the late 70s, early 80s is
that was a thing.
And they turn on the radio and you would hear someone reading The Hobbit.
That must have been pretty sweet.
It was.
Yeah. I've literally seen the movie The Fellowship of the Ring over 300 times.
Oh, wow.
I'm a huge, I love it.
I wish he was kidding.
Yeah.
I love it. And I should have known.
I'm like it'd be fun to kind of see, it'd be fun sometimes maybe at the picnic or something, people could bring their notebooks of like how they keep notes. Because like, even so, like Aaron and I take different kinds of notes.
Yeah.
So like,
Gloria will mark anything that has a number or a letter on it. And
I pay attention to weird things like that. And so I kept telling her, I'm like, that's the only tower in the entire park that has a number on it like that. That's important, right? But then I also have in my notebook, like I sectioned off Water Tower, just the linear part, right, by the roads. So you have the section that's Mission Oaks Road, and then the section that's Blue Ridge Rose, and then the section that goes to the Waterhouse and Stonehenge. And I have them sections, and I have, okay, this section has 2 towers. This section has 2 towers. This section has 2 towers. This one has none. This section has 2. I mean, I literally have like notes like that. And I have all the power poles with all this one is power pole. Here's where this one is. It's PGE B1132. 4232 in 1976, and the barcode is A3676105 for all of the power poles.
I think like
you never know when you're going to need that information.
Yeah, wow.
Here's the thing with Fort Vancouver. We did that, but on the wrong side of the road.
Oh,
And we had looked in those bushes that were along that power box.
Yeah,
we just hadn't actually gone that far. And weren't quite sure, like, is it going to be on that side of the road? I guess that technically is part of the park. We were, we were hesitating. This is where we learn. We learn not to doubt ourselves. And we learn, well, might as well. It doesn't say you can't search there. So what?
Yeah. Don't doubt yourself.
And here's where the team thing comes into play. Because Aaron is way more outgoing than I am. I'm a little more reserved when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
And so I had actually gotten to the park to Fort Vancouver earlier than Aaron had, and had parked my car, no kidding, less than 5 feet away from that box.
But there were porta potties.
But on the
box.
Yeah, but on the facing it so that you only saw the box and not the number. And I'm
Right.
sitting there eating my yogurt, and it's 5:30, 5:15, 5:30 in the morning, and it's cool out, and I'm sitting there eating my yogurt, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I should just get out and walk around, and kind of pay attention, because I pay attention to weird number things and such, right? And I'm like, well, no, I'll wait for Aaron. So I waited for Aaron. Had I gotten out of my car and walked a little bit and seen the J number on there, I would have totally, as soon as the clue come out, knew it was there.
Yep.
Because we were just in the right spot. But instead, we, had thought maybe it was somewhere else, and hopped in Aaron's car and drove somewhere else. And then, yeah, it was just
Well,
crazy.
So that
not
was
very far away, which is the
Right.
other funny thing. I feel like we should never jump in a car again unless it's a different park.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, did
Yeah.
you was that on the morning of the 14th clue?
At the
Yes.
Vancouver, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And we
Oh,
turned around,
wow.
realizing it wasn't the pole we thought it was over by the schoolhouse thing.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
we flipped a Yui, a 3-point turn, and we were driving to where we thought, to that box. Gloria's like, I think that we should check the number on that box. And literally, we're about to park, and we're about 20 feet away, and he finds it.
Yeah.
We were
Oh.
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. Neil had
We
you
watched
covered.
him. We watched him pull it out and go, yay! We're like, oh,
I was right there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
live, you
If
learn.
we
Hey,
hadn't gotten in our car, I feel like that extra time we wasted getting in and out of the car, if we had just stayed on foot.
Uh-huh.
Well, don't feel too bad.
Yeah.
Neil did the same thing the following year. He picked up that pallet and moved it around, looked around, and said, "Meh, not here."
Oh,
Moved on.
oh,
Missed it.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
Everybody has those stories. It's
Oh, yeah.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
everybody has those stories.
I think Marvin has like 20 of them.
Oh, I'm sure he
Yeah.
does. Oh,
We have about as many, except the
Yeah.
years we weren't in the right park.
Oh.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and we even had you guys weren't around, but when the Oregonian was trying to figure out if they wanted to they did a test
Oh, right.
run that year. I can't remember, was it 2015 or 2014?
Mhm.
Where they had the hunt for just the previous winners.
Up at Molten. Yeah, it ended
Yeah,
up
up
being
at Multnomah Falls. And so my wife, that was the year that convinced her that she actually had to go to the parks and help us look, because Aaron and I actually hiked and hiked all up and down the trail, and my wife sat on that bench for 2 hours and did nothing but read a magazine and kicks herself because we're geocachers. So
Uh-huh.
If she had just
if
rooted
she had
around,
just rooted around a little, it's just so funny. It's just we all have all those stories. It's
Oh,
hilarious.
yes. Those are some of the best.
They are. They're really good.
But that's what's so great about this hunt, right? It challenges you to think and learn about history, but it gives you so many. I mean, we just have so many life stories and interaction with people, and that's what also makes it really exciting. If this was just an isolated thing that you did all by yourself, it wouldn't be half as fun.
Yeah.
Okay, side note, this
Yeah.
is one of the most active hunts we've done in years. I mean, we walk around a lot, but this one, it was a lot. I lost
A
6
lot
pounds.
of walking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
No
lot.
joke. I am not lying about that.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's cool. We
I
did
know,
a
but
ton
that's,
of.
that's a testament. I've never lost weight doing a hunt before.
It's funny that you had searched so many days in that same park. You must know that park really, really, really well then.
I
Oh,
see it in
yeah.
my dreams or nightmares.
Yeah, it's gotta
We
be dreams
probably
now.
we easily, I mean, our Fitbits had more than 20,000 steps for every day, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Yeah.
Saturdays.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Some of it was in other parks, ruling them out, making
Yeah.
sure that we didn't miss something when we were convinced that we needed more information to know where it was in Waterhouse, but we wanted to make sure. So we checked. It was like checking things off a list. Okay, yep, not here. Yep, no, it wouldn't be here. No, this doesn't fit. We did a little bit of that
Yeah.
for a few hours, kind of each of those days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I feel like next year there may need to be a Fitbit challenge amongst.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
I
that sounds
mean,
good.
I think some game on, because I know a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
well-
John Dutt, who
Mhm.
found it in 2005, we met up with him one day, and I was just like, my feet are killing me. My knees aren't built for this. I've had knee surgeries because of soccer and stuff. My
Mhm.
knees are killing me right now. I go, I walked 9 miles yesterday. And he goes, I did 17.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Like, show off.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, a new friend of ours named Sean that we had met out there. Did you meet Sean? He was out of
I'm
water.
better with faces than names, so
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he was at Waterhouse Park like for days and days. Anyway, he told us how many miles did he walk in 4 days?
Oh,
Like
I
over
don't
50
know.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had
does he have like
something
a
keeping track.
beard and a mustache or kind of goatee type?
I think he did have a beard.
So, yeah. Okay, I think I know
It's
who you're
hard
talking about.
translating
Yeah.
people from the internet to real life. So,
It
I know.
is,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, he
When
was
you
out
see
there
tiny
so
little
much.
Yep.
pictures.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
And I want to meet Vespa King someday, like in
Right?
person. I
Like,
mean, I don't know who he is. There's people that know who he is, but only because, he's kind of in my mind, way back in the day when they had the bulletin board for the
uh-huh.
Treasure Hunt Central or something that it was called,
Mhm.
he used to post there all the time, and I don't know he just seems like kind of one of those guys where he like, let me just poke at you a minute here and
Uh-huh.
antagonize you, right? He used to always post, I found it, and just antagonize everybody. I just said, I need to meet him in person. I don't know why, I just need to.
Do you? I don't think I need to. I know that we went. I think we went right by him when we were on the parade
Oh,
a couple
that's
years
right.
ago,
Oh,
and
yeah?
I heard somebody say my name, and I was like looking like, who is that? And then he posts a video the next day that he's like, "Screw you, Justin," and he didn't even get my name right. I'm like, who are
Oh,
you, dude? But I get that he's like a joker.
Yeah.
yeah, he just seems like one of those guys that jokes all the time and just picks at you just because
Yep.
he can.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll get him on the podcast someday, and maybe we'll have to like mask his voice or something.
There you go.
We
That'd be
we,
awesome.
we would
That'd
love
be funny.
yeah we would love to do the same thing with the clue writer, like mask his or her voice,
Oh, yeah,
and have
that'd be
them on here
awesome
and pick their
too.
brain a little bit. So Rose Festival people, Oregonian people, whoever is in charge of the clue writer, let's make this happen.
They'd have to listen to this.
I bet you they have
I
listened
bet
to
they
it.
do.
Come
We'll
on.
see.
Someone might, if you post it
Yeah.
in enough places or post a link to it in
Yeah,
enough
someone
places.
someone will listen to it. So let's make
Yeah.
that happen. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
I know lots of people have been asking if we're going to have a get together. Has anyone tried to set a time or a date or?
Usually that's something that Marvin Calhoun does.
Yeah.
And
I know.
I meant to ask him about it today so that we could maybe announce it on this podcast, but I kind of forgot.
Okay, Marvin, it's a call out to you. We need you to set a
Marvin,
time.
when and where? It'd be just nice to get it on the calendar.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I've never been able to go because they're always when I'm camping or out doing something and can't make it. So
Yeah,
Yeah, same here.
I would like to. I wish we could have announced it so that more people would have heard about it. I just don't
Yeah.
know how many people
So you have
follow
a
up
bunch
on
of
it.
weirdos from the internet
If
show
you
up.
do it soon, everyone is still checking.
That's
thread.
true.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
It's like
true.
habit. It's hard not to keep checking.
Oh my
to
gosh,
see
so
something.
hard.
Yeah, so when it does happen, it'll be announced on that Facebook page in the group. Back on to the clues real quick. We
Yep.
had the Gary and the
Gary
Brad
and
clue.
Brad.
Yeah. Gary Cooper and Bradley Cooper did come to mind almost right away, but
Right.
I had convinced Deidre to go look at Kelly Point Park myself because a lot of people have been looking at Pier Park, and some things made sense. It didn't, it made sense that it was at the top of the grid, basically, the township.
right, right.
And one of the prior clues said go the distance, right? If you go the distance, you get to the line that basically separates Chimney Park and Pier Park. And so we were interested in checking out Chimney Park the day before, and we did that, but I was trying to think ahead. I was trying to think, okay, so if they're leading us here, what does that mean for the next clue or the next clue? And I thought for sure that if we were going north, we would have eventually come to Kelly Point Park. And so I was trying to anticipate that early. And I drug Deidre up there one morning on the morning of the clue with the Cooper. And as soon as that clue came out, I looked down because I had already seen this plaque beforehand too, but there was a plaque sitting up there that said, in memory of Gary and Lucille, steadfast South Dakota sisters who came to Oregon and loved it. And
Wow.
the clue says, lose Gary and Brad, though one's dead. So I'm thinking memorial, and lose is kind of like a nickname for, Lucille, Lucy, Luce. And
yeah.
it said Gary on it. I was like, okay, we're in the right spot. And we did a little more research, and Deidre had found some stuff about the Price Waterhouse Cooper. And a friend of mine messaged me about it too, and I said, "Oh, well, I guess this is just a coincidence. I guess you're right, because it's quite the coincidence. that it has those
It
words
is.
on it, but
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't right after Deidre had said, no, we should have been over in Beaverton 3 days ago anyway.
Right.
But we, like everybody else, ended up in Waterhouse Park that day. Made so much sense. And we're like, okay, well, we're in a park. It called out a park. It's got to be here. And I'm guessing that's how you felt as well.
Well, yes, the Waterhouse part we got though, like just with the wordplay, Price Waterhouse Coopers. Once you figured out it was Gary and Brad Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Cooper, lose the Coopers, take the bounty off the head. Okay, Waterhouse. I was still not quite sure what the man with the sword was
Oh,
for the
thank
first
goodness.
couple days. I
Mm.
was like, maybe it's Zorro, maybe it's King Arthur. We
Yep.
were trying to see if there was more to it than just
Yeah.
Waterhouse. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, the Oscar
Yep.
holds the trophy. He holds a sword.
Yeah,
Oh,
But
that
I
I'm
kind of.
think
with
we
you.
were, and I think we were actually walking in Waterhouse Park and still talking about Zorro. And Aaron stopped walking and goes, Oscar.
The Grouch?
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
That
so we were looking for clues where clues weren't,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
or extra things that weren't there. And once we figured that out, we're like, oh, well, now we can drop that because that's just part of getting us to the Price Waterhouse Cooper.
Yep.
Let's move on. Put our brain power on something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is an instance of where one of the prior clue we thought fed into this clue, where we had
Mm.
Artie Jr., and so we're thinking Arthur, King Arthur, with Man with the Sword,
Right.
Excalibur.
Man with the
What
sword. Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
going to do with this information now? We can never come up with anything really, really good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt like duh when I realized Oscar was the man with the sword. Like, really, Deidre? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and by that time of the hunt, right, you're second guessing everything because,
Mm-hmm.
you
And your
know,
brain's mushy.
what your brain is constantly, I mean, literally, if my brain was not like completely focused at work, every single second of the day, all I was thinking about were the clues.
yeah, I hear you. Me too.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
your brain, it just gets so exhausted. That's like 12 days in at that point, and you're just mentally, you're excited and exhausted, and nothing's getting done at home, and the laundry's piling up, and it's just all adding up at that point.
Yep.
yeah, but the next clue, when it came out, that threw everything out the window for a lot of people, because this one I think gave everybody the most grief is when it said go off the
Yeah,
grid. You know,
Yeah, the off the grid thing.
off the grid was tough for us too.
yeah, well,
There were just too many other connections. There were power lines in the
hmm
park, so do they mean off the grid, off the power lines?
Mm-hmm.
There was the grid, the range grid. Do they mean off that grid? So is it outside of that box now? And then there's go off. Just think about it, right? Go off. What are you going to go off of for that? Well, I'm going to go off the grid, meaning I'm going to use the grid as my. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah, do we go off the T1 North grid? Is that our grid? Or yeah, we were all over the place. And then Aaron was like, get off it already, like tired of it. But all that day but there's a D in the clue and it's D-Day today. So it has
Yep.
to be about D-Day. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time, trying to figure out were there 37 landings on D-Day? Were there 37 and there's nothing on the internet. I spent hours trying to find 37 of something on D-Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, well we have a good not solution for this. So we took it as go off the grid as far as we took you to Waterhouse Park, but that's within the township. Now go off the township, but stay close by. And so
Wow.
we had gone to IHOP that day after.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were researching, and right across the street from IHOP is Dwight S. Parr Park. And when the D was, so prominent in this clue, I'm thinking, who's the most famous D in American history? It's got to be Dwight D. Eisenhower.
For D-Day.
And on D-Day, and he was the commander, and it just made so much sense. And then we did some more just research, and we found that Eisenhower is one of 37 presidents elected to office that didn't assume office because a prior president had died in office. And so we just said it's here. It's got to be here, And we searched that park, and we met Nat was there. Neil ended up showing up. A few other hunters were showing up, and we're just scouring this place. We saw Kim there, and it was duh kind of thing. It was like we're looking at us right in the face. 37 president
We tore that
D
place
off the
apart.
grid, and
Right.
Yeah, we tore it apart. Well, we didn't tear it apart. We were
No.
very nice
That
to
was
it.
the day that threw everybody off because we
Yeah.
spent still that day quite a bit of time at Waterhouse and there was nobody there. And we
Wow.
were like, what's happening here? Like, where is everybody? We started to get paranoid. Where did everybody go? Oh no, maybe we're in the wrong, you just start doubting everything at that point again.
Yeah, it's just that off the grid thing just made me
Yeah.
want to leave the township. And that's my bad, I should have thought about it more, you
Well,
know.
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
hey, no, it's
Well,
fine.
and then Clue 14, even the very next day, they mentioned Dundee. And then I was like, back to the whole issue with, well, wait a minute, because Dundee was part of the World War II evacuations,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And,
Exactly.
and so, yeah,
Yep.
crazy.
And we're
So
just like,
here's
that just confirmed us even more. We're like, because we went back to Parr Park. And it's funny that if you look on Google Maps, it doesn't say Dwight Parr Park. It just says Parr Park. And we're
Mm.
thinking maybe that's probably why this place isn't crawling with people, because they're not making the Dwight connection. And we just saw D-Day, we saw the D. It just made so much sense, but obviously it wasn't
We
there.
were wrong. There's a reason they won.
Yeah.
Well,
well, so here back to the Pier Park thing when people went that way.
Mhm.
So being that I'm born and raised in Portland and been doing this for a while, my brain just said there are so many better ways to get you to Pier Park. Those clues
yeah.
aren't getting you to Pier Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I just listened to Aaron at that point because we never even gave Pier Park because we never even went there.
Mm-mm. I didn't even go. I didn't
Yeah,
go.
we didn't
anywhere in
even.
North Portland
No.
at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the only
We
And
thing
so,
stayed in our square there in Beaverton. We never left that area.
Smart.
yeah, it's
like I
very
said,
very smart.
yeah, like I said, the only parks we checked before the Beaverton Park was me, and that was just a cursory drive-by when I took my dogs to the dog park at Normandale.
Yeah. Yeah. We went so many crazy places. Off of the first clue, we went to Grant Park because the first clue said 50. And Grant's on the $50 bill. And so
Okay.
we went to so many places, but my heart was still at Ladd's Edition at that point when people were going and searching in Pier Park. And the only thing that made us go up there was where if you go the distance, the 6 mile township, it would have lined up with that park. And so
I
that's
think
why that's what
wasn't it
brought
in
us
Lab's
there.
Edition one year or nearby?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it was
Hmm.
in.
I don't remember.
But I want to say it was at least in a clue because that's sounding vaguely
Yeah,
familiar.
that's what I'm saying because I remember searching that high and low one year with Kim Smith.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
her and I were all over that Rose.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's the other thing about the hunt. So maybe this is early in an interjection and you can put it in the podcast wherever you want. But we have like weird ways that we know other people who hunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we all live in the same city, but it's only 500 some odd people of millions of people. But Kim Smith and I used to work together at the mall, and we have kids that are like the exact same age, and we hung out a lot, and we're both very avid treasure hunters for the Rose Festival, and so it's just kind of fun how I know a variety of people who do this from various different associations. And John Dutt, I know him because he married someone I went to high school with, and they used to live down the street from me in North Portland.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it's like,
it's a small world sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had just met Kim this year at Parr Park, first time meeting her, and she's super nice. And we've known John for a couple of years, but yeah, most of the people we know is just we probably wouldn't know barely anybody, only the people we run into if I hadn't found the medallion a couple of years ago. But we had done the after hunt potlucks the past few years, and we met so many cool people. And my introduction was my best friend's mom was into it, and she actually never even knew about these little groups and whatnot. So I kind of feel bad that she didn't know about it at the time, but now she is more than welcome to come to these things and everything. It's fun how it's expanded and how so many people. I love the interactions on Facebook because you just wouldn't get that back in the day, right?
no.
Yeah.
So-
Social media has definitely enhanced it, or at least, makes the personal connections more enhanced. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, you're less searching in isolation and more of a group thing.
Yeah, it's cool to have like some people have it as a sounding board, and sometimes you're like, wow, I can't believe that person thought of that. That makes so much sense, and it's just a crazy the variety you get, and it's inspiring too because I'm thinking, man, I need to think a little bit more outside the box because some things are right that they come up with, and you just would have never thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Facebook group and the people in it.
Yeah, I am too. And I have to give a plug out, to the not really, I don't want to say old timers, but folks like Nat and Marvin and some other folks, like they're the
The veterans.
maybe the I want to say they're the like celebrities.
Yes.
It's hard to, it's hard. I have to say I was a little in awe. I wish Aaron could have been there on Sunday, but I was a little in awe when, some of us that were still around the park at the end went to breakfast. And I'm like, I told my wife when we were driving there, I'm like, we get to have breakfast with Marvin. I mean, like, I was like so excited because it's like a celebrity or something, It's just,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain group of people who seem to always kind of be in the right place
Yeah.
often, regularly when it's found. So that's something Gloria is always like, well, where's Marv?
Right?
Where's he searching? And if you run into him while you're searching, you're like, okay, maybe we're on the right track.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
You feel like you're justified or like yeah.
You're not the only person to say stuff like that. Like a lot of people are thinking that's what they think. They think, oh, if I bump into Marvin, if I bump into Nat, if I bump into whoever, it means I'm on to something.
Right.
Yeah, well, they're hardcore medallion hunters, so you gotta give them props and respect. If they're when we bumped into Nat, it was my first time meeting him this year, and I was like, wow, oh, that's Nat. Like I wasn't maybe. Yeah, when I met Nat for the first time this year, I was just like, wow, I was excited that I met him because I knew I was onto something.
Right,
even though I
right.
met him at Park, but just saying. Like it felt like I was zoning in or getting
It's your
into
confirmer clue.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Confirm
And
you're on the right
sometimes
path.
I'll like see him at a park. I'll see him or, when Aaron and I are about and I'm like, I'm too shy to like go up and go, hi, because it's that I kind of like, hi, I'm a little too shy to come up and say hi to you.
Yes.
Man, everybody's cool. Everybody's so
Oh,
cool to
I
just
know,
chat with.
but it's that kind of
I know.
star
Yeah.
factor,
Oh, that's great.
That's really funny. Well, Nat has found the medallion twice too, but his was the champions hunt, so not everybody was involved. It wasn't for everybody to participate in, but
Yeah,
so,
he's the champion of the champions.
There you
That's
go.
right.
But you're in good company, I think. All right, so we had the next two clues were not something that we were expecting, right? We were expecting it to be found on clue 14. Didn't happen,
Right.
So we got clue 15 that explained a lot of clues. Maybe not good enough because it didn't help anybody get there. But what do you think about these two extra
Actually,
clues?
it helped us get there, I
Did it?
have to say.
Okay, well,
Well, we were there. What it
Yeah.
helped us was to know that we shouldn't leave there.
Correct.
good call.
And where to be when the next clue came out.
So what part of it told you to be in that little area with that bridge?
Well, that's what we were saying. Saturday was when Gloria finally had the epiphany of the meridian line,
Yeah.
the baseline of the meridian. And so we then got the 500
Yeah.
feet and we had our
Yeah,
area
and
and we checked certain places really well. And we're like, this seems most likely. There's going to be something right here at this corner, something right here with the bridge, we're missing something, some specific piece that we need to know how far in we got to go or what it could be under or attached to. We were waiting for that. And so we were standing just a few feet up the path from the bridge and read the clue. I go, I got it. And I'm reading it. It's fence, it's not fencing. Gloria, boom. And we were on it.
That's awesome.
So do you think that without these clues, do you think it could have been found on 14?
No, because nobody was interpreting jam the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, although I have to say that at breakfast I was talking with Jim and he had that as one of his potential answers was the trail had gotten really small right there.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I think
I think most people would associate that with Water Creek Bridge, over, under, something like those terms are what would be coming, and jam just wasn't the first thing. So that's why we thought of it as a term of that it'd be jammed between things, which still kind of made the bridge a possibility because we were thinking we just haven't looked in the right spot where they jammed it. But that wasn't
right
at all. It wasn't jammed anywhere.
Yeah, it's funny. Deidre and I drug her over to a park called Mountain View Champions Park, and it's right next to a Cooper Park. And we thought that maybe the Cooper clue, because it said, keep this entity in mind. And I thought it was like maybe a double clue or something where you're supposed to really be thinking about Cooper and not necessarily going there, but keep it in mind. And one of the other clues said something about Victor, right? And so we went to this park. You know, it's quite off the grid compared to like Park. It's barely off the grid. This one was much more off the grid. And as far as Clue 14 goes, it said something about the Dundee. What is it famous for? The jute is what I kind of focused on, and
Right.
and the ignoramus sounds like a plant, you know, a scientific name for a plant. And so I was thinking, what we're really looking for is plants in the middle of this park, in something that's not quite a D shape. It's actually next
It's
to.
not D-shaped.
Um,
I'm just saying.
Anyway, it had 37 of these little bushes, exactly 37 of them, and I just dug through them like for, you know, I went over
so
I went
long.
over them like
Right.
5 times. I'm like, it's got to be here, it's got to be here, and I just dug through. They weren't like very big bushes, maybe a foot tall, but they overlapped on top of each other, and literally right across this walkway is a solar panel charging station. You could plug stuff into it.
Oh, right.
And
Off
it
the
set
grid.
off the grid. And I thought lining that up with the trash can, don't flip your lid, and then right in the middle of it, it's like this thing that's vaguely D shaped.
It's not D-shaped.
It is. And it has all these plants in it. And I was like, it's got to be here. And so, you know, Deidre's like wandering off somewhere else. She's like, you're crazy. You know, she's going to look for something else. But I just dug in that thing for like, I don't know, probably an hour because I just went.
Yeah, you almost
Bush
set
by
the
bush.
school on lockdown that butts up against it because you look
Yeah.
like a crazy person digging in the bushes.
Yeah, there's a school right there. And I'm thinking, oh, that's history, math, and geography.
Geography,
You know, it's
yeah.
like,
People
it just-
walking around with our sticks digging in bushes by the school. Nothing sketchy about that at all.
yeah. But it should have been a clue when nobody else showed up to look.
Yeah.
I don't know. I convinced myself it was there. That's where I wanted to start my search on the morning of the 16th clue. But Deidre had thought, well, what else is Dundee famous for? Well, wine. And what's right down the road from Waterhouse is Merlot Road. And Merlot sounds a
Oh,
lot
right.
like wine. And so,
I just really needed some wine at that point.
Yeah. We all
Right.
needed
Yeah.
we all needed some Captain Jack.
Yeah, we did.
so I don't know. We just convinced ourselves that it wasn't going to be in the park, is what I'm trying to say. You know, because of
Yeah.
the off the grid thing. But we were constantly searching at places that we thought we could connect to it all around.
I had convinced myself that was the jute, because that plant's used for making like burlap sacks and ropes and things.
Yeah.
And so I was just kept telling Aaron, it's going to be wrapped up like the immunity idol on Survivor. Because,
Perfect.
you know, whenever you see them have the immunity idol, it's always wrapped up in like a little burlap paper with the rope and everything.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Watch, that'll happen next year.
Well, isn't that like, so I wasn't really paying attention to the hunt when it came back, when it was hidden at the East Bank Esplanade, because I didn't know it was back yet. But didn't Melanie find it tied up in something? Isn't that how it was? Wasn't
It
it
was
like,
in a crevice between the rocks, I believe.
okay.
You just had to reach in the right spot.
Oh, I thought it was like tied to the underside of a stair or something. But I'm
I don't think so.
okay. Yeah, well, obviously I didn't do good enough research.
Didn't do your due diligence.
Yeah,
I think, wasn't it when it was in Fano Creek, wasn't it in a bag tied to that pole?
Maybe that's
I
what
think
it
so.
was.
And then
Yeah.
the craziest one is on top of a TriMet bus
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
shelter.
that was when somebody accidentally found it.
Yeah, well, that would be a good surprise.
Yeah.
Because back then the prizes were really big, weren't they?
Yeah. It used to be
Well-
cars and Disneyland trips and such.
Yeah, but
So-
circulation's
Big deal.
down for the
Disneyland didn't
newspaper.
cost as much in 1989.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
Well, that's true.
It's very true.
It's very expensive.
Yeah, it's like $100 a day per person now.
At least.
Yeah,
For a
Yeah,
young
that's
child.
crazy.
it is crazy. I thought this was a great hunt. I think when I look back at all the clues, I feel like we could have got it before by clue 14 myself, but you know, that's only because, you know, hindsight's 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
I feel like if somebody did get the 2 tower reference and did get the 500, the D, the interpretation was go north 500 feet from the baseline, but
Yeah.
500 feet from south from that tower would also get you right in that ballpark.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
true.
like I feel like somebody could have probably found it if we maybe were a little more daring, because one of the things that is a little bit of a criticism of where it was hidden, Marvin was saying that he didn't like, because the bottleneck it's a little dangerous if you're laying down there because bikes zoom through there, right? And so I completely agree with that. I think that it might be a little bit of dangerous to like lay down and reach under there, which might be a little bit of a problem. But
if it was around a corner, I could agree with you. But it's a straight shot.
Okay, so
both directions.
Yeah, obviously I didn't walk it as much as you, so I don't recall off the top of my head, but it just, that was like one of his concerns, it sounded like, and I get it. I don't know. It just seemed like it was, kind of risky to lay down and
well, but that was my choice too, right?
True.
So, we didn't check. I mean, I could have put it back in its place and seen, but that's the hard part is when you're not really sure where you're looking. You're looking hard, but you're not looking hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to guess. I don't know. I'd have to go back out and check and put the box back where it was and stuff. But I think if you'd leaned over the fence far enough, you would have seen it. It wasn't extremely out of sight.
Okay.
That's good to know.
That was just my choice to. Well, I'm nearsighted in one eye too, so that was just my preference to be way down in there and look. Get down in there in the nitty gritty and look. And that's just me.
So if you're bending over and looking and you could see it, you could basically then get excited, look around, make sure there's nobody coming, get down real quick and pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And you might have been able to reach it just on your knees. I think the only problem was because it was so close to the pole.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I'm just saying, my boobs might have made that hard. So getting all flat on the ground would have been easy.
Yep.
So I think it's just and if you're a guy who's taller, 6 foot like John Dutt, I bet he just needed to get down on one knee and he could have probably reached it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. So we do have some questions that came in. We're running a little bit long, so I'm going to make this short and not go on and on. But we have a question from Samantha Coker. She asks, how many times did you walk past the medallion before you got to that spot to recover it?
Easily 50.
Wow.
50. Wow.
I don't even how would we even count? So
just an estimation.
We were there on the first day. We probably walked by it 3 times just on the very first day we were in Waterhouse.
Yeah.
And a whole lot more the other times because you're going back and forth to all the sections trying to interpret the clues. Like, all right, how do these fit with the Stonegate Park Trail? How do they fit with over by the Duck Pond and by the Rose Garden? How do they fit with this Hunter's Run apartments right next to this little section of the park? So we were like back and forth, and it all depends on where you're parked too.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. Yeah. And then we have a question from
a lot.
Good answer.
Yeah. We have a question from Nick. It says, how could the searchers be so confident to ignore Dundee when it was clearly stated and Waterhouse was a contrived result?
Waterhouse, I didn't feel that was contrived. I felt
Waterhouse was like really super clear to us.
Yeah, well,
and that's usually about the point you would get a park. You would need to be in a specific park, unless it was tiny like Baz Park many, many years ago. And then
I think he maybe meant that you had to work.
Yeah,
I think he maybe meant that you had to work that clue out to get the name rather than something that was clearly given to you. But I hear you.
Well, and I think it depends on maybe your experience and how long you've been hunting for the medallion too, right? For the most part, we all kind of know that the clues kind of come in a sort of an order, right? And so unless you're sure everything's all mixed up, and like last year where everything was mixed up, the last clue has to be like a really obvious, this is where it's at in the park kind of clue.
I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but if to get us to Beaverton, he gave us a math problem and an M&M clue from E.T. To get us to Waterhouse, it was a reference to the accounting company that works for the Oscars. So the answer was never in the clue. You had to get it. So Dundee wasn't the answer. It was part of the clue. The answer was what they were famous for.
Very true.
Very true. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
And then we have just one last question. This is from a buddy of yours and a buddy of mine, Kevin.
Kevin.
Kevin, yes. He asks, what is your favorite type of caches that you find doing geocaching?
That's Glorie.
That's all me. I know Kevin from the geocaching world too. So, in fact, I didn't even know that he was a medallion hunter until like a couple of years ago, and we started talking about it, and I saw him out on the trail.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what do you enjoy about geocaching? We're complete novices. We don't have any experience doing it. We've seen some because we happen upon them, but that's like another little treasure hunt that people can do, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, I do it all the time. It kind of bugs Aaron a little bit because, while we're out in the parks, I'm like, hey, there's a geocache here. I'm going to get it while we're here.
My family came along one day and they're like, "Where's Gloria?" I'm like, "Oh, there's a geocache down that way."
Well, that's fun.
But it does give you, it takes you to new places. I use it. I go to one park and I get a geocache there, and then I'm like, oh, hey, there's one in this other park that I haven't been to. I'm going to go get that one. And oh, hey, there's this trail, that I haven't been to, and there's a geocache. It gives you like a extra thing to do while you're there.
Okay. So
Um,
there's like a community around this. Like I said, we have never really looked into it, to be honest. Like I know all about them, but that's not because I've ever looked into how to find them or anything. Is there like clues that get you to them, or are they coordinates, or how does that work?
geocaching has different types of caches that you can find. So it's basically GPS coordinates get you there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an app that you can download on your phone. It'll kind of show you where they're at. And it's all a community-based kind of system. So like I'm a geocacher and I'm like, oh, I'm going to place a geocache here because I like this location or whatever. And I place it and I write the description and post it on the website and I maintain that cache and make sure that it's active and keep it ready and, do that sort of maintenance.
Okay.
And, but there's standard ones where you just go to the location and you find it.
Mm-hmm.
And some are easy to find and some are like super hard, like hidden in plain sight. You'd never know that was a geocache. Some are super creative. Some you have to have like a gallon of water to actually get the container to appear.
What?
And so there's all kinds of, you can play it all different ways. But there's also puzzle caches so that you actually have to like solve a puzzle to figure out what the coordinates are to actually find out where it really is.
Wow.
And then everything in between. It's
That-
just kind of yeah. Give it a try and see if you like it. It's one of those things where you either will like it or don't like it.
Okay. Well, that sounds like something
Yeah.
that's up our alley.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe we should give it a shot.
Get us
Yeah.
warmed up for next year.
Yeah, right? Get us out in the
It
field just
does.
doing things.
Yeah, it does cause you to like look and think of where good hiding places are,
Well,
right? Because obviously there's a geocache there. I mean, in Waterhouse Park, there were probably about 6 of them. They obviously want them hidden well enough that anybody just won't happen upon them, of course, except for medallion hunters
Of
who are
course.
looking in all the spots that would be good to hide a medallion, happen to maybe have a geocache in it too. So they try to keep it out of the way of, geocachers call people who are not geocachers muggles.
Ooh.
So yeah, so you want to like have it hidden so that a muggle won't find it.
Well,
Oh, this is right up your
So-
alley, Dustin.
yeah, I've
There you
read
go.
Harry Potter 1 through 5 more than 40 times a piece. So I'm really this sounds like something that because I'm not a muggle.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's something
Yeah.
up my alley. I wouldn't
Okay.
want to be considered a muggle. I would want to go
Oh
and
my
like find these
gosh.
things now.
Well,
I think-
Are you saying you're a
you and
muskrat?
yeah, there you go.
I think we're in.
Okay, well, you and I ought to go out sometime. I'll show you the ropes.
That'd be great. That'd be
Ooh.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I think that's about it. Do you have anything else you want to tell the community?
Thanks for all the congratulations on the internet. It was so different winning this time than last time. Last
Yeah.
time, most people didn't know you'd found it till like they read the paper. It's like
Oh,
word of
yeah.
mouth. It was very slow coming. Like 2 months later, someone would go, "Oh, I think did you win? Did you find the medallion?" And it was only like a few people in your
Uh-huh.
family.
Gotcha.
And now,
Now you're a
people
local celebrity.
all over the world know that I found it. Like I've got friends in Australia. And
Yeah, well,
Wow.
and then now you're gonna
Yeah.
have people that come across you guys next year, and they're gonna be like starstruck, and they're gonna be like, "Should I even approach them?" They're like medallion royalty. I don't know what we should
I
do that.
know,
Like,
two timers.
Well, all right, I just want to tell everybody that's listening out there, please say hi to me because I'm going to be shy and like think that you're cooler than me and I'm just a dork. So
yeah,
come
but
say hi because it'll make my day.
And I'm not shy. So
okay, good.
Perfect.
Well, it was
Yeah,
really
but I agree with Aaron. I mean, just the camaraderie in the community, it just really feels, it makes the experience 50 bazillion times better. And
That's a big number.
yeah.
50 bazillion. Are you sure it's not just
50
50
trillion,
trillion?
whatever that is, right? 50 trillion, whatever billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
should we
man.
put that number on our shirt?
Yeah, maybe,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and don't be offended, but Aaron and I might have to get T-shirts made next year to wear while we're hunting.
what are they
Only-
what are they going
yeah.
to say? Double trouble?
Yeah.
Two-time
It'll have
winners?
to, yes.
Well,
Something like that.
they'll just have that number across the back of their
Oh,
shirts,
there you
and we'll
go.
all know who they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it was so awesome to see you guys in the aftermath of finding it. It was like it's just a special moment. Not many people get to experience it, but it was fun for
Yeah.
everybody that was there. We could tell you guys were having a blast, and you know, it was just a great moment. So thanks for letting us all.
I'm gonna have the visual in my head of Erin jumping up and down with glee, holding it to her heart for eternity. That's just like gonna be one of my favorite memories.
That's a
That's
moment,
awesome.
right?
I was
Yeah,
trying. I
it's
was trying
adorable.
not to make any noise.
Yeah.
There were people, kind of nearish.
Yeah.
Nobody came over till we whooped, but
Yeah.
but they were
Yeah.
all looking at their phones.
Yeah,
And stuff.
she was so cute. She was just when I got up off the ground, she was already jumping up and down, going, "We found it! We found it! We found it!"
Yeah.
And then I like hugged her, and we're both jumping up and down. We found it! We found it! We found it!
That's awesome.
We did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
My first instinct when I found it was to be quiet and to get out of there because I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but you locked your keys
Oh.
in the car, so
Yeah,
that
I
didn't.
did.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was the
Well-
best. I always say that was the best mistake I ever made because I made so many friends that day, and if I would have just
Yeah.
got out of there, it would have been my life would be different. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be so into treasure hunts because it would have been different. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
that happened to me.
Yeah, part of the experience is the aftermath and having everybody come around and talk with you and talk
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah,
That's
that was
part of
that was a special moment. So,
So,
all right.
and again, I was the one calling the Oregonian. So
Yeah.
just like in the first picture with my old school cell phone
Oh, I
with
saw that.
the
Yes.
retractable antenna.
Yes.
2000.
Oh, that was
I
good.
again was the one who made the phone call. So we have our designated roles in this team.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Hey,
works.
Did you get to keep the first medallion from 2000?
We did
No.
not. We did
And they don't-
not.
Didn't
Yeah.
it? Is that the one that said like "This is it" on the front of it?
Oh
Like,
no,
on the
'cause
design.
It was the 150th anniversary of the Oregonian, so it had kind of
Oh.
a different. It said that on it. It had like the
Gotcha.
year 1850, whatever,
Oh,
59,
cool.
51,
Yeah.
50,
I wonder if they
1850.
still have it somewhere.
We asked. They didn't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, why didn't they just let you keep
But
it?
I
then?
have to say, when we found it on my lunch hour.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And so, yeah. And so when I took it back to lunch, because I still had to go back to work and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to have to be leaving now," I made a color photocopy of it.
Oh,
that's
sweet.
brilliant.
Good idea.
So I still have that. But
That's
yeah.
something.
I bet you could get one
Yeah.
made.
Yeah, maybe you should post that picture on, so we can have a good close-up view of what it looks like.
Oh,
I know.
I'll have to pull that out.
Who
yeah.
was it? Somebody was trying to compile like pictures of all of the medallions, and I don't know. That was like a recent thing before the hunt started.
That would
Somebody
be
had
kind of a
thread.
cool document to have in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Totally
You know,
agree.
place.
I didn't even check. Do you think they're going to actually put one in the physical paper? Because that's what I have from last time is a cutout of our article.
Yeah,
in the
me
physical
too. I
paper.
have the physical
And I
paper.
know they put up the links to the ones that were put up on Oregon Live, but I don't even know if it's going to make the real paper.
I don't know. I think more people will see it on Oregon Live, but
No, I know, but I want to cut it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you gotta have the.
We're old school still. We
Hey.
need the paper.
Hey,
Yeah.
it works. So yeah,
Yeah. I don't
it
know.
might.
I
I don't
don't know.
know.
I'll have to go check.
Tell them they need to if they weren't planning on it.
Right. Awesome. I think this about wraps it up. Do you got anything else, babe?
I don't. We've kept them for almost 2 hours of their life. They'll never get back. And, but we
It's
were
been a
glad
lot
to
of
have
fun
you.
though.
Good.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
appreciate you guys coming on. We're gonna try to keep the podcast going throughout the year. Talk about a prior hunt. Like who knows? Maybe next month we'll talk about the hunt from 1983 or 1989. But we're gonna
Yeah.
try to find the clues and discuss some things because I think it might be fun. Something to do during the off season. It's a long off
Yeah.
season. It's like 50 weeks or something like that,
There
Yeah,
you go.
50 weeks or
We
so.
could break it up.
That's right.
or actually 49 weeks and 5 days.
That's right.
But nobody's counting, right?
Nobody's counting.
I'm excited for next year already, but I'm glad to have some
You need
downtime.
the recovery time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure you
think
guys
that
would-
would be really cool if you could get a disguised voice or something of the clue writer. That would be cool.
We're gonna try.
Well,
Hint,
try.
hint, clue writer, if you're listening,
Right?
we all want to hear you.
Yeah. Well, guarantee we'll try. You never get anything if you don't ask, so we'll at least ask.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we just want to say thank you very much and congratulations again. You guys rock. 2-time winners. Nobody else can say that yet, except for Nat.
Yeah.
Nat can say
Yep.
it, but the official hunt, 2-time winners, mad props, and congratulations. You guys are awesome.
No,
Thank you.
thanks. You guys are
Thank you.
awesome.
Oh,
Thanks
thanks.
for bringing us into the 21st century.
Well, thank you. And no, thanks for appearing on the podcast. You didn't have to. So appreciate you guys telling a good chunk of your side of the story. And now maybe when we get together for that potluck, you won't have to explain, everything about every clue because you could just refer them to the podcast and we could just enjoy each other then.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thanks. And have a great night. And thanks for everybody that participated this year.
Awesome.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.